CURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
SodaWeightLoss.com is state-of-the-art, and SodaWeightLoss.com helped me lose 60 pounds a few years ago, and I've never gained the weight back. Why? I know how to eat, what to eat, and when to eat. I had a real nutritionist there to help me along the way through my journey. I joined Soda for a short time to have results that last a lifetime. Call them up, 1-866-800-SODA. You want to lose that weight? 1-866-800-SODA. Online at SodaWeightLoss.com. They are there for you like they were there for me. It's SodaWeightLoss.com. Soda Weight Loss is state-of-the-art.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, two-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer.
Score big to save 25% off all primetime functional trainers, home gyms, and racks. Work out on your schedule on the equipment you choose from the safety and comfort of your own home. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. For over a decade, Bluebird Windows and Doors has been servicing the Front Range with products built to withstand Colorado's unpredictable weather. Bluebird's Sunrise Collection windows are built to last a lifetime and are backed by strong warranties. Buy one window and get one 50% off through March 31st. And mention you heard about Bluebird from me, Mike Evans. You'll save an additional 5%. Enjoy the outdoors through energy-efficient Bluebird windows. Visit gobluebirdco.com. Bluebird Windows and Doors. Make today a Bluebird day.
Get the fastest local alerts and accurate 24/7 forecasts with WeatherBug. It's easy to use, so the weather never takes you by surprise. Download the free WeatherBug app today.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver.
You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports from your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Tuesday night in the Mile High City. He's James Marilat. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. James, how you doing, man? Good to hear your voice.
It's been a minute, Will. I'm doing great. Happy to be here and excited to talk a little sports with you for the next hour.
Yeah, no, we've got a lot to get into. Obviously, the Nuggets and Avalanche both played last night. Mike Evans lit the internet on fire today. I was having some fun on that at the end of the drive with Zach and Phil. We will get to all that, but we begin with two of, I wouldn't say your favorite people, maybe one of your favorite people, and then one guy you have a lot of opinions about, like everyone in this town does. Do you know where I'm going with this, James?
I have no idea. That's why this is going to be a fun ride.
Okay. I couldn't tell if that was sarcastic or not. But
I literally have no idea where you're going.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that, get under my skin, so that didn't really narrow it down.
All right. Well, I'm talking about Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. So,
okay.
Obviously, you have been the biggest staunch Russ defender around Denver, and I think in some senses, Russell Wilson, it kind of got to the point with him where everything he did, people were just piling on because they were so annoyed that the trade hadn't worked. But remember, there was this war of words this year between Sean and Russ when Sean made the comment about, well, I told the Giants owner that we wish they hadn't gone to the rookie yet and played the other guy, which of course meant he wanted to face Russell Wilson instead of Jackson Dart. And then Russ fired back on Twitter or X with a post that has 44.5 million views. I had to double check it today, calling Sean Payton classless and bringing up bounty hunting. And then Russell Wilson was on Bussin' with the Boys today and talked about the tweet. So with that whole premise, and we'll get to the audio here in a second what Russ had to say, but did you really think that 6 months later this feud would still live on between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson?
I didn't, but I guess it really shouldn't shock us because it was a pretty ugly end. And, I mean, if you go back to how the whole thing ended, right? Like, Russ got benched. Everyone in town, every media member, everybody around the team was like, he's getting benched because, listen, they're out of playoff contention. It was right after they lost to the Patriots on Christmas Eve, therefore eliminated from a chance to get a wild card. They don't want him to get hurt. That limits their options in the offseason. So he got benched as not really cost-saving, but more of like, hey, let's put him in bubble wrap so we don't have to keep him around if we don't want to because he's injured. That starts to get him in trouble with the NFLPA. Then they try to walk it back and say, no, he's getting benched for performance reasons. Jarrett Stidham's the spark. He's going to really help the offense, which was laughable. And, if you want to know who to follow in this town and who to listen to, go back and look and see who changed their tune on that one. I mean, give me a break. The people who just took whatever the bullet points were coming out of Dove Valley. And so that started the riff, right? Like, I think if the Broncos had just been honest and said, listen, we want to keep our options open in the offseason. We don't know what we want to do. I think we can all infer and put two and two together that the head coach and the quarterback didn't get along. They were shouting at each other on the sideline in Detroit. Okay,
well, one guy was doing the shouting, right?
Sure, you're right.
Sean was shouting. Russ was kind of taking it. Yeah.
One of my biggest criticisms of Russell Wilson is the fact that he just took it from Sean, from Mike Purcell, you name it. But that we would all been fine with that. We can all be grown-ups and just go, hey, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the relationship just isn't a good one and everybody needs to move on. But the way the Broncos just sort of spun it and chucked Russ under the bus, and it just got ugly. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised that they're still bickering, because I think Russ is one of those guys who very much wants to set the record straight. Like, you want to criticize him for his win-loss record? Go for it. I think that's very fair. It's 11-19. You probably know it off the top of your head. I think he was 11-19.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But, he also threw 42 touchdowns, 19 picks. He was playing with Brandon Johnson and players like that toward the end of one of the seasons.
He also took way too many sacks.
Fumbled way too many times.
Yep.
Those were the two biggest faults that he had. But he did get them in playoff contention. They had the ball with a little over 2 minutes left in a tie game on Christmas Eve. And if you go down and score there, you're probably going to the postseason. So to act like, people in this town act like they never won a game and they were just awful. The Nathaniel Hackett year was a mess. The Sean Payton year was decent. I believed it was something to build upon, but Sean Payton never had any interest in coaching him. I don't think he sabotaged him, but I don't think he set him up for success either in the way he does Bo Nix of, hey, let's pad Bo's stats with, second and goal from the one. Let's chuck it. Those kind of things. So I can see why Russ is a little bitter, because he really did. There's a lot of reasons to criticize him, Will. There are. But guy was tough as nails, played hurt, came back into games like the Indy game when he probably shouldn't have, that he was concussed and clearly wasn't thinking very straight in that game. I just think that a guy that really battled, really gave his all, played, like I say, injured and banged up, and just got zero credit, zero benefit of the doubt, and took all the blame, I can see why he's bitter at Sean Payton.
Well, and so the latest wrinkle in this saga is that obviously with Russell Wilson on Bussin' with the Boys today with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton, they had to ask him about the tweet. I mean, you get an interview with a guy who's got a tweet that has 44.5 million views, again, where Russ called him classless and brought up bounty hunting, then they're going to ask him about it. And here's how that exchange went today on their podcast.
Broncos, the situation, which I'm going to read the tweet because, buddy, I'll be honest with you, that's awesome.
What tweet?
Oh, yeah, I'll read the tweet. This is the tweet that you put out. Classless, ... but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15 plus years later through the media. Now, to put a tweet like that is like very humanizing. When I saw that tweet, I'm like, dude, this is badass.
And that Russell Wilson bites back.
I don't say much. I never hardly ever say anything. I think there's a time and place. But sometimes you get fatigued of people talking about you. You just say, like you mentioned, we're all human. But it's one thing for people that maybe aren't in the field or aren't, people say bots or whatever, talking. Like I don't worry about that stuff. Like that never. But to me, when you've been in the ring or you've been on the same side of this and that, and I got the same amount of rings as you got, meaning Sean. Listen, I got a lot of respect for him as a play caller, this and that. But to take a shot, I don't like. I don't think it's necessary, especially when I'm not even on your own team anymore. So for me, I've realized I've stayed quiet for so long. There's a time and place where I'm not. For me, I know who I am as a competitor, as a warrior, as a champion too. I've beaten Sean too. Like we've been on the same place and same thing. And so it's not a matter of disrespect. Just don't disrespect me.
So much to unpack from that answer, James, including the fact that he says, I've got a lot of respect for Sean as a play caller, but we've got the same amount of Super Bowl rings. And he also said that I've beaten Sean too, and that it's not a matter of disrespect, but Wilson doesn't want to be disrespected. And also, of course, Russ sort of led off with, I think, the most important part. He said, I don't say much. I never hardly say anything. Some rare self-awareness from Russell Wilson. You and I watched every single one of his press conferences. and they'd be 20 minutes long, and we'd walk away going, he didn't say anything. He rattled off a lot of cliches. He's going, well, we got Cortland, we got Jerry when he was talking about Jerry Jeudy. He was just like name his teammates. So your biggest takeaway from about a minute-long answer from Russ, sort of breaking down this whole saga, taking a shot about the rings, and also saying, I sometimes get fatigued of people talking about you. I thought that was another key quote.
Yeah, I mean, two big takeaways on it. One, it really is refreshing to hear Russell Wilson be honest.
He sounded like a human being, not a robot.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to just the robot. That's what drove us nuts. And look, I was this sounds funny now because I'm like the last standing Russell Wilson defender in this town. Will, I think I was the first one to criticize him. It was before his first training camp. And I was on these airwaves filling in on the drive at the time saying, I have Russell Wilson fatigue. Can we get to the season, please? I don't want to see him in Sierra on vacation. I don't want to see him in, at some football club in England working out. I just don't want to see it anymore. Let's go play. And then even at training camp, writing articles about hey, nobody wants to say this, but this offense stinks. We haven't had a moment yet, a weekend of training camp, where we're like, wow, Russell Wilson looks really good. To the point where I'm having people on the other stations take me to task, but I guess that turned out right. So it's not like I only defend Russell Wilson. So there's a lot of things that he said and did that were annoying. He would have done a lot better in this town if he'd talked like this and been honest. So that was my first takeaway of hey, Russ, just be this guy. Just don't try and say the perfect thing. Just be yourself. The other part of it, well, I don't know that he said anything that's inaccurate. I really don't. And I do think it was disrespectful. Hey, Sean, you've moved on. You got the quarterback you wanted. You've had success with the quarterback you wanted. Why are you taking shots at your ex? Why? I mean, just move on. If you're happy with your new relationship with Bo and the new town you're in and the new house you guys moved into, why are you taking shots at your ex who's trying to move on in New York? What are you doing? So I think he's right on that front.
Okay, so two takeaways. One, I think you're spot on about the press conference thing. That if Russ had just been a little more genuine and authentic, he would have gotten a lot more benefit of the doubt. But James, you'll remember, wasn't it after the brutal Colts loss where he still tried to go up there and say Broncos country, let's ride, but he kind of mumbled it because he was so embarrassed to be saying it after they lost.
He was also concussed.
Yeah, but they lost 9-6. He missed a wide open KJ Hamler. Al Michaels was openly mocking the broadcast. I believe it was on Thursday Night Football. It was one of the worst football games any of us have ever watched.
Yes, but listen.
And saying let's ride after that game was not
agreed.
A good look. That was not a good look.
That was all part of the Nathaniel Hackett year, which was a disaster. That was a disaster.
Yeah, but Sean was watching from afar during that year, and I think Sean knew that season that Russ was done. And obviously, Sean got much more out of him than Hackett did. But I think the reason that Sean Payton was never really open to Russell Wilson is because he just wanted to be the head coach of the Broncos. It didn't mean he took the job because he liked the quarterback. In fact, I think he took the job knowing he was going to have to gut through a year with a quarterback he was eventually going to cut.
I get it. But they went 8-9 the first year, right? And there's no such thing as moral victories, but you can go back to the year they go 10-7 with Bo, and it was a bunch of wins against bad teams. Then you can look at this 14-3. It was an NFL record number of close wins, right? So that 10-7 could have easily been 8-9, right? This 14-3 could easily been 11-6 or whatever, right? But you are what your record says you are. But you go 8-9 with a guy in your first year there. You lose a game against Washington where if you make the 2-point conversion after the Hail Mary, they win.
Cortland Sutton probably got interfered on that 2-point conversion too. Yep.
Correct. You lose a game at Houston where you're throwing the ball into the end zone in the final seconds to try to win it, where you've got Lucas Kroll, who, unless you're Cecil Lammey, nobody thinks you should be on an NFL field. That's who your option is. He ain't throwing it to Travis Kelce at that point, and you still almost pulled that game out. And on Christmas Eve, it's 23-23 with 2.5 minutes left. You got the ball at midfield, and Sean decides, I know we've had a lot of success in this quarter with Russ doing his thing. Let's throw a bubble screen. So, I'll listen to the morning show constantly mocking Sean Payton and his bubble screens. I didn't hear it then. All I heard was Russ sucks. Russ is a disaster. Russ is terrible. I just named 3 games from that season. If they have a little bit of the luck or a little bit of the coaching that they had in Sean's second and third year, That 8-9's 11-6. But Sean didn't want to go 11-6 because you know what happens if you go 11-6? You make the playoffs and you can't move on from Russell Wilson.
And you never draft Bo Nix. You're stuck.
Correct.
You're stuck with Russ. Yep.
8-9 was the best case scenario for Sean. It doesn't hurt your lifetime record all that much, right? Yeah, sub 500, but 8-9. You turned them around by 3 games, and you didn't make the playoffs, so you can go to Greg Penner and say, let's eat $87 million, the most dead cap in the history of the league. You can't do that if you go 11-6. And they were a whisker away from being 11-6. And so if you're Russell Wilson and that's what you do, that's the effort you give, and it wasn't perfect. I mean, they got boat raced in Detroit when they were yelling at each other. Like, there were plenty of ugly games that year. They were better the 10-7 year. They were obviously better this year. But all I'm saying is, if you're Russell Wilson and you're that close to turning things around and you battle for this coach, if you want to move on from me, fine. Don't bash me on the way out, which Sean Payton did, and don't bash me a year and a half after I'm gone, which Sean Payton did. I mean, the word that Russell Wilson used is classless. If you're still talking about somebody a year and a half after he's gone and you're having success without him, I don't know that Russell Wilson's wrong using that word.
Okay, but first of all, isn't that just Sean being Sean, that he couldn't help himself at the podium? He shouldn't be sharing private conversations he had with the Giants owner about, I'd rather we played Russ than played Jackson Dart, because Sean should just know by now, he's done this long enough, that that's just going to create a dumpster fire, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, he did it with Jarrett Bell. He did it in that situation. He did it with Bo Nix's ankle. I mean,
I know, but isn't that just Sean being Sean? Like, we've gotten to know this guy pretty well over the last 3 years. This is just who he is.
No, you're right. It is Sean being Sean, and he's 62 years old or whatever. He ain't going to change. But and look, you got to take the good with the bad with Sean Payton. And he has turned this organization around in his 3 years here. He's done a marvelous job. They were a dumpster fire after Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, to the point where we were excited by Jer Bear. Like, we were so happy to have someone that just was, organized running the team for 2 games when Jerry Rosberg did it. And so he deserves a ton of credit for that. But also all the baggage that we all knew. Well, you and I were doing shows debating who they should hire. And it was, do we go Harbaugh? Do you go D'Amico? And all the reasons why anybody who said they didn't want Sean Payton, ego and his run-ins with people in the league, whether it was Bounty Gate or whatever the case may be, all those things have been 100% on display in Denver. And then you add in, and he admits this, that's why he gave up play calling. He's in a little over his head at this point because the game's moving too fast for him. So,
yeah, but he's also an excellent football coach who led this team to 14-3 in the AFC title game. And if his QB doesn't break his ankle, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're winning the Super Bowl, but they definitely would have been in the Super Bowl in my eyes.
I give you that. I don't disagree. I guess my point of contention in the whole Russell Wilson thing was if Sean Payton tried as hard to make it work with Russell Wilson as he's tried to make it work with Bo Nix because he wants to show everyone he's right, if he really made that kind of commitment to make it work with Russell Wilson, I think they go 10-7. I think they go 14-3. And nobody's ever going to tell me any different.
Yeah, but James, he went to Pittsburgh, was very mediocre, got his ass kicked in a playoff game by Baltimore, and then he went to the Giants and got benched by what, week 4, week 5?
He got benched by week 3 because they were 0-3.
Right, but
if you're 0-3 and in the second game you threw for 450 yards, arguably the best game a quarterback had all season, but you're 0-3, why is the head coach who's trying to save his job going to stick with a veteran there? He's going to go with the rookie. If they're 1-2, 2-1, he doesn't get benched.
But Russ didn't do anything in Pittsburgh or New York to flip the narrative. And I promise you that next week when free agency opens, not a lot of people are going to be calling Russell Wilson to come be their quarterback. And if they do, they're going to say you can come hold a clipboard, but you're not starting, and you're probably not even in competition to start unless the team is just a dumpster fire, and that may be 3 or 4 teams around the league. So if Russell Wilson hasn't proved – Russell Wilson has proved Sean Payton right by his poor play on the field the last couple of years in my eyes.
I just disagree that he played poorly. I mean, they fell apart in Pittsburgh at the end of the season, and every team they lost to was a playoff team. They just were, right? So kind of the same record the Broncos had that year when they had to play playoff teams. But he played fine. He had good numbers. And then he had decent numbers this year in his first 3 starts with New York. Again, the game down in Dallas was a crazy game. He throws a moon ball to win that game in the final minute, and the Giants defense just falls apart and Aubrey kicks a 60-yarder to beat him. That's on Russ? Come on, that's not on Russ. Then he's not going to sign a contract next week. At least he shouldn't, because his mistake last year was signing with the Giants before the draft, and then they draft Jackson Dart in the second round, and it's like, well, it's just a matter of time. Then I'm going to get benched unless we win, and I'm not going to win with this group. His best path at this point is wait until May 1st, see who didn't draft a quarterback that they're going to be itching to go to as soon as you get below 500, and go sign there. I mean, that's his best course of action. I think he can still play, and I think if Sean Payton had tried as hard to make it work with Russell Wilson as he did with Bo Nix, the Broncos would have had a lot of success during the 3 years that Sean Payton was here or has been here.
All right, well, we'll agree to disagree on that, but you do make a strong case. I'm hearing you. I promise you that. I'm not dismissing you. You just didn't quite convince me. Did a little convincing, not all the way. What do you make of the quote in here, too? I've got the same amount of Super Bowl rings as you've got, meaning Sean. I found that interesting because Russell Wilson threw probably the most famous interception in NFL history that literally cost his team a Super Bowl. Now, obviously, everyone pretty much agrees that Pete Carroll screwed up by not running the football there with beast mode Marshawn Lynch, but I just thought it was a little bit of a funny dig of like, well, we both have one ring. It's, well, Russ, you're pretty much the reason, other than the play call, that you don't have two rings. So I didn't know if that was as big a flex as he thought it was.
Yeah, and maybe it was intended to be a flex. I can see that. I think he was just trying to make a point of, hey, we're kind of on the same level here, right? Like, both been in the league for a decade and a half. Both had a lot of success. Both going to be in the conversation for the Hall of Fame. Like, after what we saw this past year, I don't know who's getting in and who's not getting in, but Sean Payton's a borderline Hall of Famer. I think he should be in. And Russell Wilson's a borderline Hall of Famer. I think he should be in. He's certainly hurt his chances in the last 3 or 4 years. I think what he was trying to say, though, Will, is like, hey, man, we're on the same level here. And you shouldn't be dissing me, right? If Bill Belichick wants to diss Mitch Trubisky, okay, they're not on the same level.
Yeah, no one's gonna blanket that.
Right, exactly. Or if Tom Brady wants to rip, pick a run of the mill coach, right? Well, there's a ton of them. He wants to Mark Trestman. I don't know why that name pops into my head, but let's just go with it. If Tom Brady wants to rip him, okay, he's got the credentials to back it up. These two guys they're in the same sphere, the same level. And I think that's what Russell Wilson was saying of like, listen, man, I'm in your league here, so to speak. We should have a mutual respect for each other. You don't, diss me on the way out and once I'm gone. I won't dish you on the way out and once I'm gone. And Russ didn't. I'm sure there are plenty of things he could have said about what went on during his 1 year here with Sean Payton, and he didn't. At least initially, he wasn't the one saying those things. He tried to take the high road. So I think Russ makes a good point of, listen, we're peers here, we're equals, and there's supposed to be a mutual respect and kind of the unwritten rule of that's not how you handle things. And I think Sean violated it because Sean just does whatever he wants to do, and he thinks he's above everybody else, and he can say these things and do these things that most people just don't do.
Okay. All right. But again, one of them got benched after 3 games this year, and one of them lost 3 games all season long. I think Sean is getting the last laugh in this feud based on on-field results. Maybe not winning the war of words. Maybe I'll meet you in the middle there. I think Russ's answer today was fine. I didn't have any issues with Russ's answer, just like you outlined. But in terms of aging well, people are putting up Sean Payton for Coach of the Year, and Russell Wilson has become kind of a laughingstock, punchline, potential clipboard holder if he even gets a job. Their careers have just gone in different directions.
I don't disagree with that. And do I think that's a sign that Sean was 100% right and Russ was 100% wrong? I don't. But I think once they moved on from Russell Wilson, options become limited. And, Russ basically did in Pittsburgh the same thing Aaron Rodgers did. Almost exactly, right? So
snuck them in the playoffs, and then they got embarrassed.
Right.
Yes.
So, was that a Russ issue there? Is that kind of a Mike Tomlin Pittsburgh situation? Like, those were so similar and such mirror images that you kind of look at that and go, okay. And then now you're really limited in options, and you go to New York, which is a bad situation. They fire their head coach. They want to move on to a young quarterback. I get that, and Sean is here with the richest owner in the league. They can help them absorb the dead cap. They can go out in his first year and spend the most money in free agency. And look, he's done a really good job. He's a darn good football coach. And I'm excited about what he's done to turn this team around and this franchise around. I give him a ton of credit for what he's done this offseason, having some self-awareness and saying, hey, I need to turn things over to Davis Webb. This isn't me ripping Sean Payton, but he also isn't perfect. And I think in the Russell Wilson relationship, I think he's more wrong than Russell Wilson is. I just do.
Yeah, but I guess at the end of the day, my tiebreaker is going to be the football, and the football has gone Sean's way. I understand what you're saying, that if they were doing divorce court, maybe 65, 70% of the divorce is on Sean. But as just a football fan, I've sort of learned to put up with Sean Payton's baggage is probably too strong of a word, but Sean Payton's quirks, because that was the most fun I had in a Broncos season in an awful long time this last year.
I agree with you. And at the end of the day, winning is the only thing that matters, right? Like, if Sean Payton was 4-13 and acted like the way he does, everyone in town would be screaming for him to get fired. Well, they went 14-3 and went to the AFC title game, and the week after the AFC championship game, people in this town, media and fans, came after him like they were a disaster, whether it was the fourth down call, whether it was the situations that he put a backup quarterback in, like, just coming at him. I'm like, man, I mean, I love the fact that this town has high standards and we're demanding, but it was a little bit crazy because, yes, winning trumps all. I'm just saying, one guy after the divorce found himself in a really good situation, and the other guy's, still dating, and he's in, Duluth.
He's swiping on Tinder every night, not finding the love of his life.
The guy's in South Beach.
Yeah. One more note from this interview on Bussin' with the Boys. Russell Wilson confirmed that he texted Bo Nix after the game he got hurt, and then they stayed in touch a little bit. Good quote here from Russ. Quote, I don't have any jealousy in my heart. That's not how I function. It's like, man, go shine, bro. Bo Nix has done an amazing job. So I thought that was cool. Russell Wilson realizing Bo Nix is at no fault. Bo wasn't here. Bo was at Oregon when all that went down, and he reached out to him and told him to go shine, no jealousy, that kind of stuff. Again, I've not been a very big Russell Wilson defender, but I think he handled himself pretty darn well on this podcast today.
No doubt, and that is really cool that happened. And this will be the last thing I'll say in defense of Russell Wilson. And this is one of the things that I think was the most unfair of how he was treated in this town. And I'm going to preface it with, yes, he's unbelievably corny, and it comes across as unbelievably phony. But I do think deep down, and we saw him every single day, Will, after training camp practice, signing autographs for an hour with fans, right? Like, he's genuinely a good dude, and he got almost no credit for it, and he got blasted for everything he did wrong and for a bunch of things he really didn't do wrong, just because once it turns on you, man, people are going to come after MPJ for every mediocre game, and they're going to let Cam Johnson off the hook. Russell Wilson's a good dude, and I think that story you just shared there at the end is another example of it.
All right, sounds good. We'll get into the MPJ Cam Johnson thing because I'm certainly not letting him off the hook. I think Cam Johnson has been very underwhelming for the Nuggets. But coming up next, there was good and bad news when it comes to free agent running back options for the Broncos today. We'll hit you with both pieces next.
Head to Facebook.com/DenverSports1043 The Fan to watch Orange and Blue Today, The Rundown, and Denver Sports Daily on demand. Take your favorite shows with you anytime, anywhere. Denver Sports 1043 The Fan.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like rugs. People say a rug would really bring the room together. And sure, you don't know what that means, but it sounds important. Suddenly you're using words like jute and sisal, then you see the price and lose it because how can the thing you walk and spill on cost so much? So you devote your life to taking down Big Rug. But then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds. So, looks like Big Rug is safe. For now. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to A to Z Savings, our biggest sale of the year.
Happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with Duralast rotors.
Free? Really?
Really? Free.
I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah. How much is that?
Free with the oil.
Free? Really?
Really. free. It's part of A to Z Savings with hundreds of deals.
From A to free.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ends March 9th. Restrictions apply.
Men, we all know how important sex is in a relationship, both for you and your partner. But erectile dysfunction ruins sex, which can often have serious impacts on your relationship as well. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if ED is a problem in your life, you understand the impacts it has on you and the one you love. But I'm here to tell you that ED is a treatable condition, and almost without exception, you can have really good sex again. At the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we're experts in treating ED. We've treated tens of thousands of men with protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, good sex will be the norm. You could even last up to an hour or more and bring a level of intimacy for you and your partner that might just astound you both. It's time to have really good sex again. So call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
Hey guys, your boy Steve here today about my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if you can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house all cash and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-900-4433, 720-900-4433. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like Sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tune in Tuesday afternoons for Injury Insights with Zach Bai and Dr. Joseph Ramos to hear the latest injury news on your local teams and around the world of sports. Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.
SodaWeightLoss.com is state-of-the-art, and SodaWeightLoss.com helped me lose 60 pounds a few years ago, and I've never gained the weight back. Why? I know how to eat, what to eat, and when to eat. I had a real nutritionist there to help me along the way through my journey. I joined Soda for a short time to have results that last a lifetime. Call them up, 1-866-800-SODA. You want to lose that weight? 1-866-800-SODA, online at SodaWeightLoss.com. They are there for you like they were there for me. It's SodaWeightLoss.com. Soda Weight Loss is state-of-the-art.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
A lot of good reaction to that previous conversation. 303-713-1043 is the RamosLaw.com text line if you want to get in. I thought these back-to-back texts were funny, good, whatever you want to call them. The 0295. I can't believe I'm actually agreeing with James, but Sean Payton basically set Russell Wilson up to fail. And then right after that, the 3603. James, if we're watching Days of Our Lives, you were correct, but we're playing football. Get real. Russ has not passed the eye test in 5 years. So thought two interesting texts there, kind of one texter who doesn't normally agree with you saying, I actually agree with James in this case about Sean maybe setting Russ up to fail. And then another one, I don't know if I'd go 5 years on it, but sort of agreeing with me more that I just don't think the football has looked very good from Russell Wilson for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's been good in spurts. I think you can find moments when it was really good, but it hasn't been enough. And ultimately, I think the decision to move on from him was the right one. I just, my point on it was, I think, again, I don't know how anybody could convince me otherwise of this. If Sean Payton had tried to make it work with Russell Wilson as much as he's tried to make it work with Bo Nix, I think they would have had a lot of success. And that's my disappointment, because not only would you have had Russ here, and you could have, not just spent that much money and that much draft capital on a guy who didn't produce here, but you also would have had $87 million to spend on other guys to put around him. I just think that would have been a better recipe. But now that the dead cap is gone, right? So from 2026 moving forward, would I rather have Bo Nix than where they're at, or Russell Wilson? I'd rather have Bo Nix. And I don't even think it's close. So the long-term decision is going to turn out right. I just think it could have turned out really well here, and that's a disappointment, but it's water under the bridge. I've moved on.
All right, here's what I teased. There is good and bad news when it comes to free agent running back options for the Broncos. Of course, we know they didn't trade for David Montgomery on Monday, and on Tuesday there was more news on the running back front. Breece Hall will not be a Denver Bronco. He's getting franchise tagged by the Jets. Ian Rappaport says the franchise tag is $14.293 million, used as the basis for a long-term deal that the two sides will continue to work on. I might believe that when I see it. Breece Hall doesn't seem like a guy who wants to be in New York, but he got franchise tagged. And then Kenneth Walker will not be tagged, according to Adam Schefter. That's obviously come and gone now. The deadline has. He did not get tagged. And he's the Super Bowl MVP, and he could be just the fourth Super Bowl MVP ever to begin the following season with a different team. Kenneth Walker, open for business. He is going to hear cha-ching, cha-ching on Monday afternoon. Where are you at with this news today? Breece Hall, who I know a lot of people wanted, will not be a Bronco, and Kenneth Walker very well, not very well could be, but I think Denver will certainly be in the running for his services.
I think when it comes to running back with the Broncos, yes, could they upgrade in terms of get a better player? Of course they could. I'm not sure how successful a running back would be here unless you're one of the top 3 or 4 guys in the league, right? Unless you're Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Jahmyr Gibbs. Those guys they're successful anywhere. But I think when you look at this running game, it's not just the back. A year ago right now, we were all blaming Javonte Williams. He went to Dallas, looked pretty darn good, and just got a long-term deal, right? But some other things didn't change. It was still the same offensive line, very high-priced, overpaid group up front. It was still the same offense, still the same system, where you're running guys in and out, and Tyler Bidet, the 4th running back on the roster, is on the field in the key situation in the AFC title game. That's the system, and it's the same. Well, it won't be now, but it was the same play caller, where you've got a guy who's got to run the ball in Sharpie on his play sheet. So I'm not trying to defend R.J. Harvey. I don't think R.J. Harvey's a great player by any means. And George Payton sounded last week like he thinks, hey, we might just have our guy. I'm just saying the Broncos could go spend $14 million a year on Breece Hall, or whatever he's going to get now that he's franchise tagged, which is way overpriced. And I don't know that it 100% is a cure for what ails them, because I think there's other problems with the running game beyond just the back, and the Javonte Williams situation proves it.
Yeah, but look at what Kenneth Walker did in those 3 playoff games, the 2 in Seattle and then the Super Bowl. He was a monster.
I get it.
And Zach Charbonnet had gotten hurt, so Kenneth got to be the guy, and they fed him the football. And the Broncos just changed play callers last week from Sean Payton to Davis Webb. I think if you throw a 3-year, $45 million deal at Kenneth Walker, there's going to be a conscious effort to get him the football. And based on what he did against the 49ers, the Rams, and the Patriots, sign me up all day, every day. I will be doing cartwheels next Monday if Kenneth Walker's a Bronco. And it feels like you're maybe not downplaying Walker specifically, but downplaying the need because of past failures at running back in Denver.
I think I'll be doing cartwheels too. I think he's a phenomenal player. But you said it. They kind of lucked into it by Charbonnet getting hurt. And they stopped going running back by committee and just went, all right, we got to have a workhorse. Let's feed him the ball. If the Broncos want to do that, then yes, go sign him. But if you're not going to do that, If you're going to do running back by committee and rotate guys in all the time, and it's just a constant rotation, then okay, I don't think he'll have success here. I think he or anybody else that you spend a lot of money on would turn out to be a disappointment if that's what you're going to do. If you're going to go with a workhorse, if you're going to run the ball consistently, then fine. Okay, I can get down with that, but I will believe it when I see it. This is also an offensive coaching staff that every year can't figure out how to get Marvin Mims the football and then tell us after the season, like, we got to get Marvin Mims the ball. That's on us. Like, okay, well, after his rookie year, I get it. It's now been 3 years. And we've seen the same pattern every season where the one guy on that offense that has some explosive ability who can take a catch and take it 90 yards, they can't figure it out. They couldn't figure it out with Evan Ingram. They're too busy designing up things for Nate Atkins and Adam Troutman. I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to take a high-priced free agent like that in that position and maximize it and get the most of it. I love him as a player. I think he's a great player. Loved him coming out of Michigan State. I just think it might be money that isn't well spent.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at, but also I actually go the other way on this, that I don't think Walker was bad when he and Charbonnet were by committee. He proved how elite he was. James, I'll give you my ideal running back room. I want to re-sign J.K. Dobbins, but I want to pay Kenneth Walker big money, give Dobbins a 1-year deal to be the backup, and then R.J. Harvey, I guess, will still be in the mix.
Oh, God, that's the worst.
That's my ideal running back. Kenneth Walker and J.K. Dobbins sounds pretty darn good to me. How's it the worst we could have?
Because Sean Payton's going to want to play with every toy in the toy box.
Well, then when Dobbins gets hurt, week 12, Walker can run you to a Super Bowl just like he did in Seattle.
Yeah, go spend big money on a guy so you can stand there on the sideline next to Sean and watch J.K. Dobbins run the ball.
Oh, come on, James. When J.K.'s on the field, he's pretty good.
And then here's second-year running back R.J. Harvey, who they love and they want to get him out there. And we're all going to be talking in October of like, why is Kenneth Walker, the guy they gave all this money, getting 9 carries? Why? What are we doing here, guys? That's what it's going to be. I mean, my perfect running back room, Terrell Davis, and then a big drop-off to Derek LaVille and Von Hebron. That's because you know who's not tempted to put Von Hebron or Derek LaVille in the game? Mike Shanahan. You go with Terrell Davis. Like, no, I think that's awful. I think that's absolutely awful.
Wow.
I think
adding Kenneth Walker and re-signing J.K. Dobbins is awful. Got it.
Yes, Sean Payton wouldn't know what to do. How's he going to divide carries with that? First of all, how many times are they going to run the ball? I mean, there were games this year where the playoff game this year where the quarterback ran the ball more than the running backs. But how many times are they going to run the ball?
Well, again, they changed play callers. I'm taking some pretty strong stock in that.
Okay, well, we have no evidence that Davis Webb is going to run the ball more, but okay, let's hope that he does. Is 24 carries for running backs going to be the average? So how's that going to divvy up? How many?
I'd give Walker 15, JK 8, and RJ 1 if that's the split.
Okay, well, RJ Harvey, they're not going to just put their guy they love, their second-year guy, on the bench and give him 1 carry, and I ain't giving a guy however many millions a year to give him the ball 15 times a game.
Well, it's not our money, and they have a lot of salary cap to work with this year.
Listen, and I think your numbers are pretty right. I think it's more like 14, 7, and 3, but whatever. We're quibbling at that point. But I don't want to give that kind of money to a guy and give him the ball 14 times a game. If you want to give Kenneth Walker that kind of money, and they're going to give him the ball 20, 22, 23, 25 times a game, great. Sign me up. Sign me up, because the best Broncos offense I've ever seen was when they gave it to TD 25 times a game. And you know what? They had a pretty damn good quarterback, and they had some pretty damn good receivers, and they had a pretty damn good tight end, and they still said, you know what? We got a guy, and we're going to feed him the football.
I think 2013 Peyton Manning would like to have a word about the greatest Broncos offense ever.
Well, okay, but, that team won back-to-back Super Bowls. They won 17 consecutive games.
I know, but Peyton threw for 55 touchdowns, a record that I believe still stands today.
Okay.
TD was great, don't get me wrong. If I had to power rank the greatest Broncos offenses of all time, I think 2013 would be a pretty clear number 1 for me.
In 1 year? Sure. Okay. I'm going, and when I said it, I'm thinking of 96 to 98, that run. But yeah, for 1 year, that Peyton Manning offense was phenomenal.
Well, it was really good in 2012 too. Once they got the losing streak figured out and rattled off 12 straight wins before the divisional round.
So is Bo Nix going to go be Peyton Manning? Because which offense do you think Bo Nix has a better chance of matching? What they
John
did in
Elway and
96,
Terrell
97,
Davis. John
98,
Elway
or
and
what
Terrell
they did
Davis.
with Peyton Manning throwing 55 touchdowns. Is Adam Troutman going to turn into Julius Thomas?
Yeah, well, if Bo Nix can have a similar career to John Elway, I think we'll all take that all day, every day.
Sutton's suddenly going to become DT, and Troy Franklin's going to be Decker?
Yeah, Wes Welker in there, Stokely in there in 2012.
And Marvin Mims is going to become Wes Welker.
Well, a little different skill sets, but yeah.
But listen, the point is, if you're not going to use him, don't sign him. If you're going to use him, then go sign him. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let's give something away. You can win a family 4-pack to the Great American RV Show plus Off-Grid Expo March 12th through 14th at the Colorado Convention Center. Callers number 3 and 5, 303-713-1043. You're both getting a family 4-pack to the Great American RV Show and Off-Grid Expo March 12th through 14th at the Colorado Convention Center. Couple teams played last night. Couple teams won. I thought they were different outcomes for a different reason, though. We'll get into the Avs and Nuggets next.
Calling all wrestling fans. Now's your chance to win your way into the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. Airfare, hotel tickets, and $500 in spending money all included. It's the Superfan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040. First, head to DenverSports.com/Superfan to register. Then tune in every hour to see if your name is called. If you hear your name, you have 10 minutes to call us back and be entered into the grand prize drawing. It's the Superfan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Xfinity. Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs may change, kids will grow, new memes will come out, but what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need them the most, that finds and fixes any issue before you even notice them. It's like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth. For the next 5 years, all your devices will be working with perfect harmony, and you get our best equipment with no annual contracts, no fees, and no strings. So even though your kids grow up and you still don't understand 6-7, your internet will stay sharp, reliable, and most importantly, the price will stay put. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi, all with Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Free barbecue? Yep.
absolutely free barbecue. Hey, everybody, Dan Jacobs, the barbecue lawyer at 303 Law 4040. It's 2026, and we are taking our free meal program to the next level, and I want you to help spread the word with me if you can. I got a brand new smoker, and this thing's a beast. It's over 6 feet tall, so we can cook that 1,000 pounds of free barbecue each and every month. Here's what you do. It's Eastern Hills Community Church, 4 to 6 p.m. every first and third Thursday. I'm smoking up delicious pulled pork or my addictive copycat Chipotle recipe, and we're serving it up for free. You just get in line, you pop the trunk, we put free groceries in your trunk, and then we ask you how many meals you need for the night. It's that simple. No questions asked. It's at Smoky Hill and Arapahoe Road every first and third Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. Help us spread the word. And if you have any questions, you can always call me. The barbecue lawyer's number is 303-LAW-4040.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play. Stop, opt out. Terms and conditions apply to the earnings promotion.
Do you have caregiving experience as a parent, teacher, nanny, coach, or in another similar role? Hop Skip Drive is looking for experienced caregivers who want to help students in their community by driving them to and from school. Earn up to $50 per ride with Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion, all while helping your community. If you have your own vehicle that is no more than 10 years old, a clean driving record, and at least 5 years of caregiving experience, you could become a Hop Skip Drive care driver. Just text ROAD to 323232 to get started right now. Hop Skip Drive gives you the flexibility to set your own schedule and earn competitive pay. It's simple. Drive in your free time and make a real difference for students right in your neighborhood. Don't wait. Text ROAD to 323232 right now. Text ROAD to 323232 and start earning up to $50 per ride during Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion period. That's ROAD to 323232. Text ROAD to 323232 now.
Stream Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, Dover and Cecil, The Drive, and all your favorite shows on the Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan app. Powered by Advanced Tax Solutions. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
The Nuggets and Avs both got wins last night, but in different fashions. I thought the Avalanche played pretty well against the Kings, had a bad break, got out of there with a 4-2 victory in LA. But James, let's begin with the Nuggets, man. Very unsatisfying win over the Jazz in a season where it's been hard to define rock bottom. I think that if they had lost to tanking Utah last night, it would have been rock bottom, and they were the benefits of a key challenge at the very end of the game that went their way, that ultimately won them the basketball game. What did you take away from, you scored 128, that's great, but you gave up 125 to the Jazz to dudes that the casual NBA fans have never heard of?
Yeah, a lot of the things that have been problems the last couple of months were certainly on display last night. Not playing very good defense, and then not playing well down the stretch. Now, they pulled it out, and you're right, they got the challenge call that went their way. But, they were up, I wouldn't say they were in control, but it wasn't like it was a one-possession game going into the fourth quarter. They're up like 7, 8, 9 midway through. Then all of a sudden you look up and they're down 4 with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, and Keontae George is just torching them. Guy finished with 36 points, 14 to 22 shooting.
Oh, my gosh, their inability to execute down the stretch. Now, their stars hit big shots, big free throws, and that's what you need. But, yeah, it was almost a win that kind of felt like a loss. Now, losing it would have been a disaster. And I said this with Zach yesterday. I'm not going to panic because I know their two best defensive players are out. And I think if they're healthy, they have a great chance to win. They can beat anybody in a 7-game series. But we're getting to the point now, Will, where if they're healthy, doesn't sound like it's going to really happen. What are the odds that this team, who's been riddled with injuries, is all of a sudden all of them are going to be healthy and not get injured again and be able to play for 2 straight months? The fact that they're in the spot they are is kind of remarkable because 6 of their 7 best players, 5 of 6, 6 of 7, I think it's 6 of 7, have had the phrase, will be reevaluated in 4 weeks after their name this season, right? Everybody but Jamal, essentially. And to keep your head above water and still be right there where it's like, yeah, they're the 5th seed. It's like, yeah, they're not that far from being the 3, and there's, you just got to get hot. So last night wasn't encouraging. But I'm not gonna hit the panic button until AG comes back.
Okay, well, I think with AG you make a great point because, they can win the whole thing, James, but if he pulls up grabbing his hamstring in Game 5 against the Thunder, then poof, they'll probably go their title shots, Yeah. So that definitely, I think, is a very valid point. But let me give you my hot take. You said 6 of their 7 best. I think you're including Cam Johnson in that because he was one of the reevaluated in 4 weeks. James, I think at this point, man, especially after how disappointing he was against the Thunder and the Wolves, I think Cam Johnson has not only played himself out of being a starter, I think he's played himself out of the playoff rotation. I wouldn't even play him if I was David Adelman. And I can go through the names. I mean, obviously you're playing Jokic, Murray, Brown, Gordon, and Watson. And then I'd be more comfortable with Jonas Valanciunas, Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown. That's 8 right there. If you even want to go 9, I think at this point I'd rather have Julian Strouder than Cam Johnson. I think it's been so bad from him, and he looks like such a head case that I'm not sure he's one of your 9 best players, and therefore I don't want him to play in the playoffs, provided everyone else is healthy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking at that trade as a 1-for-1, which it wasn't, the Nuggets certainly didn't win it. When you look at all the guys they were able to add, it's like, okay, it was still a good move. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown, it freed him up to be able to do some things. When healthy, they're going to be so significantly deeper. The issue, though, and this is even compounded more with Aaron Gordon not being out there, because 2 or 3 years ago, even their championship year, when AG was on the floor, teams would just leave him alone at the three-point line and dare him to shoot it. And that's not the case anymore. That guy has transformed his game.
Yep.
But when he's not out there, and when MPJ's in Brooklyn, we can all laugh at the fact that MPJ just stood in the corner, but the opposing team had to defend him. So it allowed him to play 4-on-4 with everybody else. And when you're playing 4-on-4 and 2 of those guys are Jamal and Jokic, you're going to be pretty effective. The fact that they don't have a threat that can knock down threes and scares people is really why this offense struggles, especially late in games.
So 15 seconds or less, am I on to something with my Cam Johnson take?
Yeah, no, I think you are. I think he just doesn't look like a guy that has any confidence at all. Now he's banged up again. If he did not see the floor in the postseason, it would not shock me.
Interesting.
We agreed at the end.
There you go. Took us 55 minutes, but we got there. Nice win for the Avs last night. Thought Nathan McKinnon was the best player on the ice, absolutely flying around. Looks like he's got his legs back from the Olympic grind over there in Italy. All right, it was fun. For Dante and James, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Calling all wrestling fans. Now's your chance to win your way into the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. Airfare, hotel tickets, and $500 in spending money all included. It's the Superfan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040. First, head to DenverSports.com/Superfan to register. Then tune in every hour to see if your name is called. If you hear your name, you have 10 minutes to call us back and be entered into the grand prize drawing. It's the Superfan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Your air duct cleaning experts, Ductworks.
So you dust the mantle on Monday, and it's covered again by Tuesday. It's frustrating, right? But don't just look at the mantle. Do me a favor. Remove one of your vents and take a look inside. You see that buildup? That's where the musty smell of dust is coming from. Your home system is just recirculating that dust over and over again until you finally press that reset button on your home's air quality. Mark Schlereth here. You need to call my friends at Ductworks. Ductworks sets the standard for clean air in Colorado. In fact, they are NADCA certified, which means they're insured and you're receiving quality through knowledge. And they don't just blow the air around. They use specialized scraping system to scrub the walls of your air ducts, removing years of grime. Call them today at 303-425-0985 for a free estimate. Commercial or residential, get a fresh start today. Call 303-425-0985 or visit them at ductworks.com.
303-425-0985.
You can't always predict what's next, but you can be ready for it in a BMW SUV. The performance-driven X1 comes built for every journey, while the X3's sporty design and innovative technology keep your drive connected. The X5 blends performance with a commanding presence, or make it even bigger with 3 rows of luxurious seating in the X7. For every road, there's an X built to drive it. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Gebhardt BMW, your trusted family dealer since 1975.
Hey guys, it's Mark Schlereth, and home show season in February is when homeowners make the smartest improvement decision before the demand hits. If windows are in your future, Gravina's Window Center of Littleton offers Infinity by Marvin fiberglass windows built for strength, efficiency, and long-term value. And this February, you'll save 25% plus enjoy 12 months zero-interest financing. Visit windowsforyourhome.com or call them at 303-794-0490.
Are you a dementia caregiver? Perhaps you care for your spouse, family member, or friend. Whoever it is, being a dementia caregiver can build relationships and test them. I'm Bill, and I want to thank you for the care you have provided. I've faced similar situations, so I'm speaking on behalf of the Dementia Society of America, a nonprofit organization. Request our free guide filled with tips on care, planning, and much more. Go to 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or call 1-800-DEMENTIA. Thank you.
Colorado families, planning your next getaway just got easier. Explore real RVs, compare bunks, kitchens, storage, and layouts all in one place. The Great American RV Show, March 12th through the 14th at the Colorado Convention Center. Tickets just $12 online at greatamericanrv.show. Family adventures start here.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to A to Z Savings, our biggest sale of the year.
Happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with Duralast rotors.
Free. Really?
Really? Free.
I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah. How much is that?
Free with the oil.
Free. Really?
Really. Free. It's part of A to Z Savings with hundreds of deals.
From A to free.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ends March 9th. Restrictions apply.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
Basketball team in the country, number 19 Miami of Ohio beat Toledo 74-72, improved to 30-0 on the season. On ESPN, number 17 North Carolina 17-0 at home, one of two major conference schools unbeaten at home, hosting a Clemson team that it's tied for fourth with in the ACC in the final double bye in the conference tournament. Tar Heels leading at 61-55, 2 minutes left in the second half. TCU, one of the last four byes for the NCAA tournament. In the latest projections from ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi, has a 62-58 lead on number 10 Texas Tech, 3:40 remaining in regulation. Number 13 Virginia leading Wake Forest 66-60, 3.5 minutes to go in the second half. With 3 minutes left in regulation, number 18 St. John's with a 66-62 lead on Georgetown. On the SEC network, fifth-ranked Florida riding that 9-game winning streak of 47-35 on Mississippi State at the break. The NBA and Eastern Conference leading Pistons visiting the Cavaliers on this Tuesday night. Cleveland has an 89-80 lead, 11:20 to go in the fourth quarter. After three, Hornets up big on the Mavericks, 92-72, 15 points for Brandon Miller. Magic leading the Wizards 96-79 late third quarter. Paolo Banchero with 31 points. Knicks lead at the Raptors 68-58 at the half, 13-6 for Karl Anthony Towns. In a matchup of two of the three best teams in the NHL since late December, Bruins still leading the Penguins 2-1 after two. Sabres up 3-2 on the Golden Knights. Second intermission, Rasmus Dahlin with a pair of assists for Buffalo.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming on Wednesday after a huge win against the Spurs on Sunday. I'll tell you why the Knicks have another chance to prove me wrong against the Thunder. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
This is Amber and Ian on ESPN Radio. Fireball.
Aside from Breece Hall, Daniel
Jones, George Pickens, and Kyle Pitts, because all of those guys were tagged. Every other NFL player on an expiring contract is now free to test the free agent market. Its negotiating window is set to open March 9th. That means new deals can be signed as early as March 11th. You're listening to Amber and Ian. We're presented to you by Progressive Insurance. At Ian Fitz ESPN is how you find him. At Amber W Sports is how you find me. Let's bring in Bill Barnwell, ESPN senior writer, host of the Bill Barnwell Show, to talk about all things NFL free agency. And Bill, we thank you so much for your time. Free agency news is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Try it free at ZipRecruiter.com/sports. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Bill, last season, the Patriots were the big spenders in free agency defensively, and we saw what that amounted to. It worked out pretty well for that New England team. Defensively, who do you think might be the big spender this season in free agency and follow that same pattern?
Yeah, good question. I do look at Tennessee as sort of my Patriots starter kit, where obviously you can't sit here and say, well, Tennessee is going to make it to the Super Bowl. The Patriots are an exception, not the rule. But in terms of a team that has a ton of cap space, the Titans have $90 million right now, most of any team in football, and they're going to create more, I would assume, with some moves here in the days to come, possibly get over $100 million in advance of free agency opening. But a team where, with Robert Saleh coming in as the head coach, with a quarterback in Cam Ward, who, much like Drake May in year one, showed some flashes. Obviously, the team was not competitive. They have to add around him. But I could see that being a team saying, hey, let's solidify our defense. Let's get a bunch of starters in, not superstars necessarily, but let's get some guys in around Jeffrey Simmons, who is a legit superstar defensive tackle. We're going to add some talent for Cam Ward in the draft. Maybe we got a shot. So I think